everybody, welcome to the Patriot Show. I'm Anthony Stephen Malone, your host. This morning I have a very special guest that's going to join us on the show, Joseph Mitcham. He's a veteran of Her Majesty's Forces and he is an author as well. Hello Joseph, how are you doing?
Hello Anth, yeah, really good, thanks. Good to be with you this morning.
Happy days, mate. Hi, mate. A lot of my viewers will know of you, okay? Obviously, we've spoken like a bit on here, but we've also met a few times. And can you explain to my viewers who you are and your background, please?
Yeah, I'm from down in Suffolk. I joined the Paras, joined one Para back in '99 with the Airborne Forces for a couple of years before I was sent to Sandhurst. I commissioned. Fancied a bit of a different challenge, so I went for the technical challenge and joined the Siggies. Became a hat, and then just worked my way through as a young officer. Boxed a bit for the Corps, and just basically I wasn't career driven, but just fancied picking and choosing some good fun jobs, getting a bit of experience. Served all over the place, including Saudi Arabia. On a 2-year posting, but then I did two Afghan tours. I did the back end of Telic 1, so I was in Iraq for a couple of months. 3 months in Jamaica, instructing on the command and staff course for the Caribbean. That was a pretty good 3 months. And then finished up as a fairly run-of-the-mill staff officer, helping out on recruiting the reserves when I was down at the West Midlands. And after doing that for a couple of years, I couldn't really not join the reserves myself when I left. So came out in 2015 and joined 37 Signal Regiment. And for my last 4 years in the army, I was doing a degree using the old enhanced learning credits that they give you, worth a couple of grand a year. So I did that, did a business degree. Which was pretty tough when I came out into Civvy Street. I was lucky to land a really good job working on the Tall Ships project up in Sunderland, so I helped deliver that for 3 years. So trying to do the last part of the degree whilst juggling that job was pretty hard, and reserves as well. Kept me really busy and sort of took my mind off the fact I was leaving the regular army, but I was getting all the best of the green stuff working with the reserves as well. Because in the reserves, you only get to do the fun stuff. Otherwise, people don't turn up if they make it too much of the mundane run-of-the-mill side of the army. So, really enjoyed the reserves. But when I finished that degree, I found myself with loads of spare time because I was studying about 20 hours a week on the sofa of a night time. And I had this mad idea about a story for a book. And I just sort of sat down and tapped away on the keyboard. Happened to be that very first night I started writing, news came on and the Manchester bomb had happened, the Ariana Grande concert. And what with the storyline I had in mind for the watch list, straight away they were talking about were the perpetrators on the UK terror watch list. So that kind of added fuel to the fire to motivate me to write. And I carried on writing that story. And that was... so that was pretty much when I was starting at Sunderland, and because I was doing that full-time job plus the reserves, it took me nearly 3 years to write the first book. But it was just one of those things that I'd going in the background as a hobby. Never really saw myself as a writer. Never crossed my mind. Pretty much the same as a lot of things I do. Nothing really crosses my mind. Think about things seriously. I just go and do it. When I joined the army, I didn't think, I absolutely have to join the army. I want to do this for years. Just crossed my mind one day, went off to the office and signed up. And it was the same with writing. Just had the idea, thought could write something about that. Didn't know where it was going to go. Didn't know it was going to turn into a 101,000 word novel. Thought it might be some sort of short story.
And
then from
the short story,
I
will recommend the actual book. You mentioned one of the things there, the Ariana Grande concert. Obviously, your book isn't based on true events, is it? It's just put together on what would happen if?
Yeah, well, you probably know yourself, and I'm sure a lot of your listeners will know. You see that thing on the news. Oh, it was known to the UK security services. They're on the UK terror watch list. You think, oh, if I could get hold of that list, what would I do with that list?
Yeah.
Can you imagine having that list of all those suspects of the nasty types that want to do harm to
couldn't
people
possibly comment on that whatsoever because of my previous employer, but yeah.
So yeah, I just thought, imagine what a load of ex-special forces and airborne and elite force soldiers would do with that list. Yeah. So yeah, they basically go to town on it.
Well, it's very interesting, and it is definitely very informative about a what if. It's also very current. Your writing and your stories of both of your books are very current with the events that are happening around the world as well. So people could gain a lot of insight. It is what if, but very interesting. I just want to take you back slightly before your books. How did you find your transition period from being in the military into civiliancy?
Well, like I say, I was really lucky. I'd done a staff job, which I was kind of getting bored of, and I don't think I'd even fired a rifle for probably 2 years towards the end of my regular career. So it was turning. I wouldn't say it was a boring office job. It was one of the most interesting office jobs you could probably have, and I did get out quite a lot to visit units to try and arrange things for the reserves and spend some of the Op45 money. But it wasn't the army I joined. It wasn't the adventure that I wanted when I first signed up. Yeah. So when I came out, bearing in mind I've been with Michelle, my wife, for about 3 years at that point, and we had a 2-year-old daughter.
Right.
I'd done 2 years in Saudi Arabia, only getting back to see him every few weeks. Then I did a 6-month individual posting to Afghanistan, working with an intelligence force. And then by the time I got back from that, we were 8 weeks away from having the second baby. And then I was posted to Telford for 2.5 years unaccompanied. Right. So I was ready to come out, and I did have an instant family with the family house and the estate car.
Yeah.
And I was so lucky to get the job that I got. I think I applied for about 25 jobs. I only got one interview, and that was with Sunderland Council for the tall ships. And I went straight into that job, and it was a massive £7 million project that was just really, really interesting. It was akin to like an army staff job, like I say, with those interesting facets to it. And with being able to keep the green kit going with the Army Reserve and actually getting to fire rifles and lead soldiers, it really helped me. I was so lucky that I didn't have that prolonged period of trying to find a job or insecurity. And I've seen from working with the PRA, Patriot Regimental Association, and other soldiers in YARM, I can see how it can be really, really difficult. So I count my lucky stars that I had all that to keep me going.
No, well done on that, and well done on all your work as well to help other veterans out there, not just on the Parachute Regiment, but through all services. You're a very humble individual, and I've already spoken because I'm from up where you're from as well, and a lot of people speak very highly of you as well.
That's nice.
Right, the inspiration for your stories, your books, obviously obvious question to myself, but some people out there would actually ask that. What inspires you to write the kind of stories that you write, book 1, book 2, and what inspiration have you got to write further books as well?
Yeah, I think a lot of it, like I say, the idea of getting a hold of the watch list was the initial inspiration. But I think there's quite a lot of other frustrations in life, especially not being regular forces anymore. You just think about all those opportunities to expend your energy and achieve something is that opportunity is not there in real life on day-to-day basis. So being able to put it onto paper and express it in words is a bit of an event for me. Sometimes I find I've got some pretty angry characters. You got your Johns and your Craigs in the first book, and I'm coming up with another one that's based on one of my old instructors from basic training. He's a real character in the regiment.
Right.
So I'm looking forward to him creating all sorts of hijinks in the third book. He's in the second book as a bit part kind of guy, but in the third book he's really going to come into it and mix it up a bit. And being able to create those characters, I'm having to be really careful. Some of the feedback I've had from the first book is, there might have been a few too many characters in there because it's quite a broad story. It does narrow down into that sort of hard hitting part, but I have to try and curb my enthusiasm for characters and just the people I've met through service. There's so much great juice in there to put into a book. So many funny stories and bits and half truths that I'm weaving into the story. People read it that know me from One Power and from 216. And now I know that is. I know exactly what that story's about.
yeah, you do. Don't you? You think I recognise that? Yeah. Your second book. What is it about? This second one.
Well, the first one is about all the operatives that go off and do the business with the members of the watch list. But towards the beginning of the book, there's an orders group where they get some of these operatives together to tell them. It's a fairly classic set of army orders. It follows the TAMs. And one of the guys that turns up to receive these orders it turns out, he's a bit of a turncoat. He's sort of been radicalized, and he turns up trying to infiltrate this group of veterans that's trying to sort out the watch list members. So he gets filled in outside. The lads give him a bit of a dig and send him on his way. And then after the orders thing, they have a bit of a chat, and they're like, actually, this is a bit more of a risk. This is a real security breach. We need to get hold of him and make sure he's not reporting back anywhere. And it's only touched on lightly in the first book, but he just disappears and they can't find him. Yeah. And I leave that open for the second book. And the second book is Where is Tony Blunt? And it's all about the guys sort of trying to track him down. And as it turns out, he is properly radicalized, and he's got a real plan for a real nasty atrocity. And it's all about the team trying to find him. So it's almost told as a parallel story from chapter to chapter, what the good guys are doing and what Tony Blunt's doing. Right. And it takes you most of the way through the book.
So people need to get
no spoilers,
yeah. Happy days on that one. All right, mate. What are your plans? Because obviously you're now a writer, published author, very successful. What are your plans for the future?
In terms of writing, I've kind of strategized out the whole series. So I'm planning 7 books in this atrocities series. And I've had to properly use a military estimate process to figure out what's going to happen. Because I wrote the first book on a whim. The second book was a spin-off, which was an idea in isolation. But I'm thinking, if I'm going to have a proper structured 7-book series, I need the overarching story. So I've planned that out, and I've got the main big hits on that line of the story, and then each of those segments into one of the next books. So I've got another 5 books to come in this series. Hopefully it'll tell a great story.
Yeah, so what you're doing is you're interconnecting everything, aren't you? Every book is individual. Everything's kind of interconnected.
Yeah, and trying to keep track of that is an effort in itself. So I've got, people probably don't realise, they think, you just get a Word document and write your 100,000 words and there's your book. Yeah. To some extent that's true. It certainly was with the first one. But I got part of the way through writing the first one, and I thought, right, I need to know what I'm doing. I need to read up on how to write. So I read how to write fiction for dummies, which sounds like a bit of a joke, but it's actually a really good book, and it's been really helpful. And I came up with several writing tools from that, and one of those is like a spreadsheet. and that's got columns for obviously the chapters, the scenes, the timeline, because it's really hard to try and keep track of how many days have passed between different events. So when Alex is saying, "Oh, I remember when we did that a couple of weeks back," and you can actually go back and count the days back to when something happened. And then there's a word count, but it's a really handy document for keeping track. And if you've left the book and not written for a few weeks, you think, "Oh, I need to get my head back into this." And going back to, say, you're halfway through, it's 50,000 words you might need to read through and catch up and figure out what you've already said and what you've covered. Whereas you go back to the strategy document, and I have one sentence for every chapter to summarize what's happened, and one sentence for every scene within a chapter. So a short chapter might be one scene, but then again, a long chapter might be 15 scenes. So I can just read through those sentences, and it tells me exactly where I'm up to with the story. And that's really helpful for keeping track of where you're at. Good technique for writers.
It is. It's also that's a good bit of advice, that, because I speak to a lot of military personnel from all services, and everyone's got a story to tell. Under the present climate of the COVID and the lockdown, a lot of the guys have got a lot of spare time on their hands as well. So my advice is, if you've got a bit of spare time on your hands, keep you occupied. It keeps your mind working well as on that one. Right, just write poems. A lot of the guys are writing poems now. They've done really well. A couple of them I've got to say, I was impressed from people you would not expect. So I've said, you've got something. I'm not just saying it because I know them. I'm saying this is really good. So a lot of veterans, just because you're soldiers at one point in time, doesn't mean you can't do other things. You're evidence of that. You've been a soldier, you've been there, you went through Sandhurst, you've had a civilian job, you've done well at that, you've now become an author. You've got a plan, you're driven, you're motivated, you're moving forward. Everyone can do something of a similar thing. On that note, have you got a message to any veterans out there from any of the services that are going through a hard time at this moment in time?
Yeah, well, like you say, we've seen a lot of the veterans being creative and expressing themselves through writing. Got great guys like John Careless, who's doing his art and his painting. My other friend Charlie, he's been painting a lot. But if you haven't got that creativity and you can't express it that way, you've got to get it out some other way. And I think the best way is talking. And I've been talking to a lot of the guys in the PRA up here, and it's clear that people are struggling and people do need to not bottle things up. And I think it's not one of those things where you have to say, "Oh, I've got a problem. Oh, it's so hard." But you just, when you feel that inside you just talk. And there's, I mean, how many airborne blokes do you know that you could just phone and say, "All right, mate, I haven't spoken to you ages," and one thing will lead to another. It'll be an hour-long conversation, and you'll find yourself feeling completely better and different at the end of it. And it won't be any kind of formal therapy. It won't even be acknowledged as reaching out for help. It will just be a friendly chat. And if you don't know anyone, then just go. If you've got the Parachute Regiment groups on Facebook, you've got Ops Spartan, which is a really good one. In fact, I dedicated the first book to Ops Spartan. It's a fairly new Facebook group, but it grew to about 4,000 members in about 3 weeks. And it's not a banter site. It's somewhere where people can just unload. You get posts on there that fill your screen of people just saying, "I'm having these dramas or this stress," and the amount of positivity on there is unbelievable. So if you've got nothing else, no one you can phone, just get on Ops Spartan or pretty much any of the airborne parachute regiment groups, or whichever cap badge or arm or service you're from. There are safe places out there where you can connect with people.
Yeah, I think that is very important to anyone out there who is struggling at the moment. Reach out to somebody, a veteran, anybody, just have a chat, and a problem shared is a problem halved as well. But don't forget, you're not alone out there. A lot of us have gone through hard times in the past. I've been through hard times. It happens, okay? Pick up the dog and bone, have a chat with somebody. Seriously, lads and ladies and gentlemen, you're not alone out there, all right? Very important, okay? United we stand, divided we fall. Don't forget that. Just pick up the dog and bone and have a chat with someone. And I promise you'll feel a lot better for it as well. The other thing is, don't stay cooped up in the house. Get your boots on, get your jacket on, go for a walk every day. Do a little bit of exercise. You'll feel a lot better for it, getting out in the fresh air. I know it's COVID, but if you plan it properly, you can go for a walk in a park, in the woods. A lot of the guys are now packing and going out for a few hours. Take a flask, take a packed lunch, okay? Get yourself out the house. That will help you as well. Joseph, would you like to add anything on that?
Yeah, definitely on the fizz side. Even if you can't get out of the house, I've got 2 little kids running around and trying to get out for a tab or a bike ride. It's a non-starter during the week when the wife's at work. So yeah, get a mat in front of the TV and have a bit of Joe Wicks. I mean, I started doing Joe Wicks with the kids because it's a kids workout. But at the end of the day, it's a workout. Mark Wright's got a good one going. Find fitness groups on Facebook. I've got a press up challenge group that I started. I think I started it about 3 years ago. And the idea was you start on a nice easy set. So I think I started on 40 and then added 1 rep every day until I got to 100. Obviously a load of fails aside, but eventually got there. And I've done that for the 3rd time because people keep reigniting the group. Even though it dies off, it's come back to life again. We've got about 15, 20 people on there at the moment, all working their way up. And we're going to do a Zoom call tomorrow morning and do the Moby song Flower. I don't know if you heard Sally up, Sally down. Well, that song's about 3.5 minutes long. Yeah. And trying to do the up, down, when he says Sally up and Sally down is proper nails. So yeah, have a go at that. But yeah, get the fizz going because the endorphins make you feel really good.
Yeah, that is very important. That. Right, back to your book for a bit. Here we go, ladies and gentlemen. Ready? Awesome book. If people want to purchase this, where do they go? How do they find it?
Well, I'm self-published on Amazon, so I've done it all myself and put it up on Kindle and paperback. So it's on print to order and Kindle, and it's free on Kindle Unlimited if you've got a Kindle Unlimited membership. Right. I've also got a few author's copies laying around the house. So if you want to find me on social media, I'm at Mitcham Joseph on Twitter, or just search Joseph Mitcham on Facebook and send me a message, and you can give us a few quid by PayPal, and I'll stick one in the post all signed up.
Excellent. Good skills on that. Any questions? Anyone wants to ask us anything? PM me or PM Joseph directly on the tab bar of the interview. If you click on it, all the information of the books will be there. The link to the book will be on there as well, so it'll be easy to find. On that one, Joseph, I'd like to say thank you so much for coming onto the Patriot Show. We wish you all the best with your books in the future, and continue the good work you're doing as well, mate. Okay.
Thanks, Anth. Been a real pleasure. Thanks a lot.
Okay, buddy. No problems at all. Thank you, everyone, for watching the Patriot Show. It's been educational. It's been emotional, and join us on the next show. Please stay tuned for a few minutes to watch some promotional videos, short ones, on veteran-owned companies, both in the United Kingdom and in America. Big shout out to the Dead Mammoth Coffee Company. If you want some coffee, have a look at that. Awesome.
Because
I've got some. Because?
Yeah, Bickers is one of my One Power mates. Yeah, that's his company. I've had loads of that.
I know, yeah. Excellent bit of kit. Sterling Timepieces. If you want a watch that is combat ready, it does what it's meant to do, have a look at it. Try test it. Great bit of kit, not very expensive. Look that one up as well. Triangular Fragrances, New York. It is a female combat veteran who has brought that company to the public eye. She owns it. She's worked very hard to do this. She's also a friend of mine. Look it up. She's the only female combat veteran in the United States, if I'm concerned, in a lot of other countries, who has her own fragrance line that includes aftershave and perfumes and other things. Have a look at it, support it. Support a veteran business, support a veteran company. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Enjoy the trailers. Stay safe. Catch you on the next show. Thank you.